Hello everyone and welcome to my portfolio showcase. My name is Danielle Heiderscheid and I am a communication arts and literature education major that will be licensed for grades 5 through 12. Today I'm going to talk about the past, why I wanted to teach, the present, go through a couple of the artifacts that I've created while at Northwestern. I'm going to look at the future, what my goals are for teaching, and I'm also going to look at some of the biblical perspective and how my faith has fueled my desire to be an educator. So the past. Growing up, I always loved working with kids and teens, and this is a picture from a few summers ago where I was working with youth in the evening and elementary age students in the morning, and I did that for most of the summer and have done that for quite a few summers, and I just absolutely love working with teenagers. And so as I was growing up and going to college, I was thinking, what do I want to do? And knew that I was being called to work with teens, but didn't think that it was in ministry. And long story short, the Lord led me to teaching. Another inspiration of mine is my brother. He is a wonderful person, and he has had many great teachers in his life come alongside of him. And really, I would like to be the type of teacher to a student as his have been to him. And ultimately, just like I said, my passion and love for teenagers and for their personality and their silliness, as well as just a heart for what they're going through and the hardships of being a teen. And I just really love working with that age group. So the present, my first artifact is looking at standard 4, which is that a teacher must understand and use a variety of instructional strategies to encourage student development of critical thinking, problem solving, and performance skills. I'm specifically looking at F, I, and J, which are to design teaching strategies and materials to achieve different instructional purposes and to meet student needs, including developmental stages, prior knowledge, learning styles, and interests. To vary the instructional process to address the content and purposes of instruction and the needs of students, and to develop a variety of clear, accurate presentations and representations of concepts using alternative explanations to assist students' understanding and present varied perspectives to encourage critical thinking. So this is from a lesson plan that I co-made with another student at Northwestern because we were both teaching at Roseville Middle School. So that's where I taught this lesson. And we were teaching the students about imagery and descriptive language. And we really wanted to make this lesson engaging and active, and that is what this is. So we were preparing them for their summative assessment, which was going to be personal narratives. And on that assessment, they were going to be graded for their imagery and descriptive language. So they had already learned about it a little bit before, and they were going to need it in the future. So this lesson engages in the prior knowledge in some areas while also adding to the knowledge that they have. So this orange that I have here is because during the lesson, I pulled a physical orange out of my pocket and started peeling it while I was lecturing. And this was really to help engage students in recognizing that writing about imagery is more than just what you see, that there's more to your senses than just that. We also have them working in groups at times where they would read a section of a mentor text. This is something that they've seen before. So this is engaging their prior knowledge, and they're working together and they're discussing what descriptive words and phrases they see. They take note of that, and they do that for multiple texts, and they have 3 minutes with each text. And they also did some individual work as well, some practicing with these skills that they have been learning today, where they would look at one of these 2 images, and we had them on the screen, and we also had some printed out for them to look at. And the students were going to be writing 5 sentences on an exit slip, and they were supposed to be using all of the 5 sentences. So they were supposed to put themselves in this picture and say, I smelt the hippo in the street, or I felt the sun beating down on me if they were using this image, or whatever it was. They were using those skills that they had learned and showing us that they had developed a better understanding, or perhaps not, and then we'd go back and teach the concept further. This lesson reinforces the concepts of descriptive language and imagery by giving the students multiple meaningful experiences through the physical orange, the group work, and the reading, the images, and the writing, really engaging them in multiple different ways and giving them multiple exposures to this concept so that they truly understand it. And it also demonstrated the ability with the standard because it taps into their prior knowledge while adding new knowledge and reinforcing the concepts. The second artifact goes along with Standard 5, which is that a teacher must be able to use an understanding of individual and group motivation and behavior to create learning environments that encourage positive social interaction, active engagement in learning, and self-motivation. Specifically, subsections C and R, which are know how to create learning environments that contribute to the self-esteem of all persons and to positive interpersonal relations, as well as to organize and prepare students for and monitor independent and group work that allows for full, varied, and effective participation of all individuals. So this lesson plan is from a unit I created during methods, and this takes place near the end of a unit. It's a peer conferencing day, and the students are working on alternative endings to The Great Gatsby. Most of this lesson is peer editing, but there is some lecture at the beginning. So that the students, kind of know what they're doing and they're given a structure for the day. But before that, the class starts with a morning meeting. And the reason that I wanted to start with the morning meeting is because, honestly, it can be kind of intimidating to share your work with your peers, and students might feel uncomfortable with that. And so I wanted to start the day off with just first a lighthearted question that they could turn and share with a partner, and then sharing, how do they feel appreciated, and being able to just build that sense of community with one another. Additionally, as we went further on in the lesson, I really tried to offer the students a framework so that this time would be productive and there would be structure. So I give them, some frameworks for what they might say or how they might say it. Also encouraging them about what not to say, as well as looking at specific phases of the editing process. So this specific one is called Bless, Address, Press. So first, the students look at their own work and they note for their peer areas that they need addressed and other areas that they need pressed. So places that they need addressed, they're saying, I feel pretty good about this, but, if you could help look at the grammar or whatever. Whereas press is more, I really don't know if this works. Could you help me? Maybe think of other ideas, that type of thing. And then bless is when the peer is reading it, and they would give that positive feedback as well. This is the handout that the students would use when they were peer editing. So they're looking at ideas, organization, mechanics, presentation, and then again the affirmation and encouragement section. This is this lesson fits this standard because I'm organizing students, I'm preparing them for the group work, the individual work, and I'm also monitoring them as they're working to ensure that they're working well and that the students are participating. There's specific models in the PowerPoint, which is something that I definitely struggled with early on, because I just was like, oh, this is a great description, students will get it, and then we ran into trouble. And so that's definitely a way that I've seen growth throughout my journey at Northwestern, is being more specific in what I want, giving frameworks for students, and really trying to make it the best experience for them that I could. And my favorite part of this lesson was at the end, which is the symphony share. And so what would happen is that as I was walking around and monitoring, I would ask students to find a short piece of their work that they were especially proud of and that they felt comfortable sharing. And then for the last few minutes of the lesson, the students would simply stand up, they read their part, and then sit back down. And it's just a great moment of building self-esteem, building community, having the students feel proud of their work, feeling noticed and recognized by their peers, and really just a great time of building that classroom community, building that self-esteem, and having the students feel confident about the work that they're doing. For the future, I would like to teach high school. I also love middle schoolers, so I would not be opposed to that at all, but I do really love talking about some more complex issues and looking at some more in-depth writing and reading and things of that nature, which generally comes more so with high school, but certainly can come with middle schoolers as well. So really I'd be fine either way, but high school is kind of my goal. And I definitely want to teach in the public schools, whether that be, the most inner city or super rural. I really don't care. I want to go wherever the Lord leads me, and I think that there's going to be good things and there's going to be hard things about any type of school. But ultimately, no matter what type of school I go to, I want to go where the Lord calls me, and I want my students to know that they're loved and they're cared about. That's my main goal. And then my secondary goal would be that the students leave my class knowing that they have grown and that they've become more independent learners. So before we can get to the academics, students need to know that I care and need to know that their needs are being met. But I also want them to leave feeling confident, feeling like they grew and they've become more independent, giving them options for autonomy throughout the year, giving them choice, having them take ownership and pride in the work that they're doing. That's a huge goal of mine as a teacher, is just really helping students to have confidence in their work. Lastly, the biblical perspective. 1 John 4:12 says, "No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us." And then Romans 12:6-7 is talking about spiritual gifts and gifts within the church, but I think it's still applicable here. And he says we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. And then he lists a few different things, and within that he says, if it is teaching, then teach. And if it is to encourage, then give encouragement. And so these two verses really drive my passion to teach, because I feel that I've been called to teach. I think it's a gift I've been given. Still growing for sure, but something that I know I feel called to do. And I also love to encourage. And I would hope that through those gifts, the students feel loved. And though I will not be explicitly sharing the gospel with them, my goal, my hope would be that they would see that love of Christ in me, even though I can't explicitly say that to them. So that's how my faith kind of drives my desire to be a teacher. Thank you for listening and for participating in this showcase with me, and for looking at a little bit of my educational journey. It's been an awesome ride at Northwestern so far. I can't wait for student teaching, and I'm really excited for what the future holds.